I'm deeply honored and humbled to stand before you as President-elect and the eventual 134th President of the Arizona Medical Association, and the first urologist. Now, I promised no urology jokes this morning. It's a little too early. So if you could just hold in there, I will flow through my speech, and we will be just fine. So thank you for entrusting me with this privilege. It truly is the pinnacle of my physician advocacy journey, and I will work tirelessly to meet and hopefully exceed your expectations. Consistent with ArMA's recently revised mission statement, ArMA stands as the strongest advocate, ally, and resource for our profession. Together, we will continue fostering the practice of medicine, championing patient care, and improving the health of our communities. I want to acknowledge the past presidents, all the past presidents, but especially those since I joined in 2006. They have been incredible role models and really cultivated a pipeline of leadership and vision that has served our organization well. Of course, Dr. Cosby is the president who I've shared the most time with, and he is impressive. Truly one of the most dedicated, determined, passionate, and charitable leaders that ArMA has ever known. I am so thankful that he will still be available to me as past president and available during my presidency, right? So I will not fill his shoes, but I will do my best trying to do so. I also want to give special thanks to Libby Dubai, who recently retired as CEO. She truly has helped ArMA navigate challenges over the past 8 years. You all remember COVID, right? So there have been many ArMA successes that would not have occurred without her. And she facilitated many policy and process improvements to help modernize the board, and she will be missed. So we will be recognizing her. I don't think she's here for this morning, but she will be at tonight's event, and so we will definitely be giving her more thanks tonight. You will learn more about Doug throughout today, tonight. Larry, the new CEO. As Dr. Cosby mentioned, he was chosen after an extensive search. And after 15 years of nonprofit and association leadership, prior to that, he spent 2 decades as a respiratory therapist treating some of the sickest patients. During the interviews and his application, he made a specific point to stress the importance of patients always being the center of everything we do. And I couldn't agree with him more. I look forward to working with you, Doug. So first, a little information about me. I was born and raised in a small town in south central Nebraska, Minden, 2,500 population. I was the youngest of 4 siblings and the only boy. My mom was an LPN for Dr. Donald Prince, one of the 3 career family practice physicians in the town. He was certainly one of the classic small town family docs who started his practice immediately after medical school in 1959 and spent his entire career in my hometown, over 30 years. He delivered over 1,000 babies, performed C-sections, and even did appendectomies. He was a large man, about 6'4", heavy set, with a larger-than-life personality and laugh, and one of the most respected people in town. In my early years growing up, I really didn't think much about being a doctor as there were no physicians in my family, and it just didn't seem possible. And in 6th grade, I wanted to be a math teacher. I really loved math. But my mom, she had other plans. She would often talk about how much she enjoyed being a nurse, as well as a surgical assistant in the operating room in the small community hospital. Starting in high school, she would say, you know, you can be a doctor. Of course, when your mom tells you something at that age, you just say, no. But I did become fascinated with psychology, especially after hearing a left brain, right brain lecture. And so I planned to go to college and study psychology. Well, Dr. Prince said to me, if you're interested in psychology, brain psychology, you should go to medical school and become a psychiatrist. I still remember that conversation to this day. It really made me think. And by the time I was a senior in high school, I started to consider a career, but still had doubts of whether I would get in. I decided I would at least try, and I guess you could say, like I stand here today, the rest is history. Certainly my mom's nursing career and Dr. Prince were very influential. But it was my dad, Jeremy, who really instilled the importance of a strong work ethic. He was the hardest worker I've ever known. He served in the Army, went to trade school to be an electrician, but eventually worked for many years in a co-op in my hometown, delivering gas to farmers in the community. He also drove a school bus, was a volunteer fireman, and also had cattle and pigs on the side that he would do after his daytime work. I always encourage you to stay in school, work hard, and that education would lead to great opportunities in life. During my college years, when I had shown interest in medicine, my mom would bring home needles and IVs, and my dad would let me practice on his arm with my mom supervising. And looking back, they were really doing all they could to set me up for success. While my parents passed away many years ago, I truly was blessed and am blessed with the life that they gave me and my 3 older sisters. My oldest sister is a retired labor and delivery nurse, so of course she wanted to take some credit for my success as well, which I did in some merit. So I'll be sharing some of the details of how I became involved with ArMA later, but I wanted to update the audience on some of the ArMA committee activities and the sections. As Secretary and President-elect, I tried to attend as many of the committee meetings as I could, and I have been impressed with the extensive work and dedication of the committee chairs, the members, and the ArMA staff who coordinates the committees. Please hold your applause until I have completed all the updates. The Legislative and Government Affairs Committee is led by Dr. Heidi Tavel, and this is one of the busiest committees, especially during legislative session, dealing with all things advocacy. Now, throughout today's summit, we will be discussing a lot of advocacy in depth, so I'm going to save some of the details of that throughout the day versus now. So suffice to say, a huge thanks to Dr. Tavel and Amanda Scheinson, Director of Government Affairs, and Eva Turner, Government Relations Associate, and also leads the Physician of the Day program down in Capitol. The Finance Committee is led by Dr. James Ackbar, our Treasurer, and this committee is crucial because it ensures the financial health and viability and sustainability of the organization. Just like decreasing reimbursement for physician practices, there's been decreasing revenues for a large majority of medical organizations across the country, especially since COVID. So this committee is tasked with some of the most difficult decisions about budget and resource allocation. We will continue to adapt and ensure that the funds are used effectively to support the organization's mission. The ArMA staff is the Chief Operating Officer, Michelle Moore, and Tilly Aralo is an accounting assistant. Thanks to Dr. Ackbar, Michelle, and Tilly. The Articles and Bylaws Committee is led by Dr. Timothy Graham. They've been busy for years now, transforming the process for elections, bylaws amendment approval, and policy adoptions, moving into an online platform, and allowing input and voting from all active members. The ArMA staff is Susan Brown, Director of Executive Services. Thank you, Dr. Graham and Susan. The Public Health Committee is led by Dr. Pamela Murphy. They are working on a resolution addressing the increasing incidence of congenital syphilis in Arizona. Going forward, they plan to address concerns about potential funding decreases for Medicaid and the impact on the health of Arizonans. Honestly, this is going to be a critical focus over the next year. ArMA staff is Eva Turner. Thank you, Dr. Murphy and Eva. The members of the committee is led by ArMA Secretary Dr. Corinna Saldana, and this committee focuses on membership engagement, recruitment, and retention. Similar to the comments about the financial committee, it's become a challenging environment, no doubt. But no one has put more time and effort going above and beyond with literally thousands of emails, phone calls, and handwritten letters than ArMA staff Sarah Coleman, the membership experience manager, and Kara Peterson, membership specialist. Thank you, Dr. Saldana, Cher, and Carl. The Communications Committee is led by Dr. Alana Abbas, and their recent work is focused on the association's rebranding and including its mission statement and value proposition for members. The ArMA staff is Sheldon Joe, Director of Communications, J.C. Carpenter is a social media expert, and Ryan Duncan is the marketing and web design specialist. And by the way, if you're looking how to tag us on for today's event, it's hashtag ARMA25. So for those of you that are tweeters, that's a good way to tag out. Thank you, Dr. Addis, Shelby, JC, and Ryan. The Accreditation of Medical Education Committee is led by Dr. Steve Brimmelman, and this committee organizes the CME process for some Arizona organizations. And this is very tedious work. I mean, it's an entire new set of terms, almost like a new language when I listened in on a couple of their meetings. I mean, thank goodness we have some of the members to do this complex work. The ArMA staff is Terry Harnish, Accreditation Coordinator. Thank you, Dr. Roman and Terry. The private practice physician section is led by Dr. Judy Jasper, and this is the newest section formed in the past 2 years, focusing on challenges to independent practice, especially solo practices, which face some of the most challenges to practice viability. They organize town hall meetings and continue to seek input from physicians on a wide variety of challenges, leading to new policy and resolutions. The ArMA staff is Sheriff Coleman. Thank you, Dr. Jasper and Sherry. The resident and fellow section is led by Dr. Deepika Racia from Creighton University. And this section is focused on increasing resident and fellow engagement and membership in social and wellness resources. Thank you, Dr. Racia. The medical student section is led by Curtis Trump-Sweater from the University of Arizona, Phoenix. They've also been focused on increasing medical student engagement, including organizing the upcoming medical student of the day at the Capitol, where they plan to advocate for increasing GME in Arizona and influencing public health policy. Thank you, Curtis. So as you can see, this is a quite robust organization, and we couldn't truly fulfill our mission to the patients of Arizona without all the committee chairs, members, and staff. So I would like to do one last thanks to all of them, and now let's give them a round of applause. Now there are two things to mention, but you can read more on the ArMA website. But the Arizona Medical Association was formed in 1892 with 9 members, and Joshua Miller was the president. We think he was a general surgeon after some research that Susan and Shelley did. I can tell he was very persistent. First, he founded the Yavapai County Medical Society in Prescott in 1885. Back then, Prescott was larger and more established than Phoenix. But as Phoenix grew, he eventually founded the Maricopa County Medical Association Society in February of 1892, and then Arizona Medical Association later on that year. So he was the first president of all 3 organizations, just quite a trailblazer, I imagine. In 1902, after 10 years, ArMA membership grew to 100. Which was a 27% annual growth rate, and remarkably, 85% of the Arizona physicians were members. Now, if that growth rate had continued until today, did anyone have any idea of how many members we would have? Yes, it's some quick math. I love math, right? So, 100,000, million, a billion. How about 597 trillion? They really set the bar high in 1902. So, some other interesting highlights. In 1933, a resolution was proposed by ArMA and other medical associations to petition the AMA to decrease the number of medical graduates. That seems strange. Well, evidently during the Great Depression years, there was too many doctors and not enough money to go around. Well, now we have a shortage of doctors and a shortage of money, so, we're going to have to address that, and we'll touch more on that later. Another interesting fact relates to ArMA physicians serving in the Army and Navy during World War II. 105 ArMA physicians served, which was about 10% of all Arizona physicians at that time. Just an incredible dedication to the patients in our country. So, does anyone know when ArMA began the Physician of the Day program down at the state capitol? 1975, but in 2015 when I participated in the program for the first time. So 1 year prior, in 2014, it was my involvement in the Arizona Urologic Society, ACUS, that led me to ArMA. That year, at their annual meeting, we were discussing items related to states across the country passing bad legislation for urology. And one example was potential restricting of ultrasound use, limiting that only to radiologists. Well, ACUS needed to prepare for similar challenges in Arizona, and there was a distinct need to increase our presence in state advocacy. And ArMA was felt to be the logical key ally. I volunteered to become the ACUS representative to ArMA and learn more about the process, signed up for a position today, and met my representative, Heather Carter, who was the chair of the House Health Committee at that time. It really was one of the most impactful advocacy relationships I've ever made, and she became a regular speaker at the ACUS annual meeting along with ArMA government staff. The first year was with David Landon, who was a previous staff for ArMA. And this set the stage for many years to come. I'm very thankful for the wise advocacy instincts of the former leaders of ACUS, and also Chris and Jeannie DeSantis from the DeSantis Management Group, who have been with ACUS all these years and have traveled here from California for today's event. So I'm excited to share a little bit more about the latest advocacy success. Now, I will preface this success as somewhat of a niche piece of legislation, but I'll explain how it represents important principles of advocacy. So last Monday, Governor Hobbs signed HB 2025, which expanded the scope of practice for medical assistants to participate in catheter care. As I mentioned, very niche urology topic in some ways, but it came about when the Arizona Medical Board updated their website and stated that medical assistants were not allowed to place or remove catheters. Well, this became very disruptive to urology practices in Arizona, who had routinely trained and supervised MAs to do this type of care. Some practices, especially solo practices, they only have MAs as clinical staff. So if a patient needed care and the doctor wasn't available, these patients would be sent to the emergency room for simple catheter care, which is totally unnecessary. So urology started voicing concerns, and the Arizona Urological Society reached out to ArMA about this issue. And the first important principle of advocacy is listening. Listening to physicians. Well, ArMA listened and moved forward with the second item, which is identifying the issue. In this case, it was fairly clear-cut, and moved on to developing the proposal for the bill, which is the third important step. And Amanda Scheinson assisted with identifying the options, and with further collaboration with ACUS and the American Urological Association, it was decided to proceed with a legislative strategy, which includes building support from stakeholders, the fourth important principle of advocacy. Finally, convincing the legislature to introduce the bill was imperative, and we were thankful to Representative Selena Bliss, the current chair of the House Health Committee, who introduced the bill. We had written and for personal testimony from 3 urologists, and the bill sailed through the entire process and was signed by the governor. And Arizona is the first state in the nation to not only just allow for MAs to participate in catheter care, but under general supervision, which has important implications, but we feel that's the most appropriate. So while this was a fairly straightforward issue and eventual solution, imagine if there was no organized medical advocacy. No resources for physicians to fix this problem. Imagine there was no state urology association or no state medical association, no one like Amanda to lead this complex legislative process with legislators who often have no healthcare background, but are voting on issues that affect individual patients immensely. It really is scary to think about what our healthcare would look like without these very important organizations, and we cannot take them for granted. This success shows the benefit of coordinated advocacy and ultimately fulfills the mission of our organization. In the year going forward, there are several critical areas to enhance healthcare delivery and support physicians that ArMA will continue to concentrate on, including stopping any inappropriate scope of practice expansion by non-physicians to maintain the high standards of patient care that's needed, ensuring practice viability with sustainable reimbursement. The Medicare physician payment system is broken and needs to be fixed now. Decreasing administrative burdens, time-consuming prior authorizations and denials that delay patient care. Improving healthcare access and equity with a priority of increasing GME. So what can you do? Now, when I say you, I'm referring to myself and each of us individually. You can advocate. You can lead. And you can mentor. You can use your voice to shape the future of medicine. Now, friends, telling them about specific actions and successes, emphasizing the importance of membership, asking them to invest in our organization, which is committed to protecting the profession that provides for our very existence. Each of us, no matter our specialty or our stage in our career, has a role to play in strengthening our profession and improving the health of our communities. So I ask you, what action will you take? What legacy will you help build? Because together, we are stronger, and together,